Pete Hegseth is somebody the media and the Democrats really thought they can destroy. And if they're going to complain about the threshold for confirmation, Democrats should remind themselves they're the ones that changed the rules to set that threshold. But all of a sudden now they don't believe a president should be able to nominate his team.
Yeah, I don't get this at all. I mean, of course you should be able to pick your own team. This is all because they're just threats to the system, and so they have to move the goalposts. They, of course, believe that a president should be able to pick its own cabinet. That's been the standard for almost all of American history. This is a new phenomenon where you just oppose people because you don't like them on a personal level, but everything's been politicized. You just got to look at the recent appointments to all those deep state posts like the Department of Defense and CIA, et cetera. Almost everyone gets confirmed with 90-something% of the vote, even though these are the worst people in the country. These are the people who make their money in the defense sector, in the deep state, off of these government contracts, in between their terms in public office. That should disqualify you. If you were on the board of Raytheon, like Lloyd Austin was, that should be disqualifying. Instead, he gets approved with 90%.
They had to get a waiver for that, right? The Senate had to create a waiver for him.
Exactly right. He should have been disqualified by nature of what he does for work. The fact that Pete Hegseth comes from being an activist on behalf of veterans and hosting a talk show where he used to be well-rounded on the news actually, for me, enhances his qualifications. That makes him more qualified that he came from that background. He actually served in combat. That makes him more qualified for me than being some general who's hammering a huge check from a defense contractor in his spare time.
You know what's amazing about the controversy over Pete Hegseth? I kept hearing, and my favorite was Lisa Murkowski. I kept hearing these senators say that he's not qualified. I think Tammy Duckworth said that he never commanded more than 200 people. And my first question was, okay, then explain Leon Panetta.
Yeah.
Leon Panetta served 4 years in the early 1960s, pre-Vietnam escalation. He was at a Signal Corps for a couple of years. He never commanded anybody in anything, and they made him SecDef and CIA director. All he ever was a member of Congress and a Democrat gadfly, and he sailed through with Murkowski's vote, by the way.
Yeah, and if you want to expand it to other elements of the government, the bureaucracy, think about Merrick Garland. Merrick Garland was running an office as a judge of like 6 people, maybe it was 9 people at the most. And then he got put in charge of the DOJ with 115,000 people. Of course, he had no idea what he was doing. And he ran one of the worst DOJs, if not the worst in the history of the country. You could be a smart guy and a nice guy. I mean, running an office of 9 people, now you're in charge of 115,000. You have no idea how to do that. And that was proven right away. And he stayed in there for 4 years somehow. So they're just creating arguments to create content. And it's fine for us, Andrew. We'll talk all about it, but none of these are real substantive arguments against Trump's picks.